Sodium potassium pump is present in all the cells of the body. Sodium potassium pump is present in all the cells of the body, and it is involved in the active transport of sodium ions outwards through the cell membrane, and the potassium ions inward stimulate, and the potassium ions sodium potassium exchange and sodium potassium exchange, and this is the active transport of the sodium ions outwards throughout the cell membrane and potassium ions inwards simultaneously. And this pump is responsible for maintaining the sodium potassium concentration difference across the cell membrane, for establishing the negative electrical potential inside the cell. And now, what is the structure of sodium potassium pump? This is the structure of sodium potassium pump, and this potassium pump, it involved the sodium potassium pump. It is a complex consisting of the two separate protein units. There are two, alpha and beta. Alpha subunit molecular weight is more than the and the smaller is the beta subunit. This is the alpha, larger subunit, alpha subunit. Around molecular weight is the around more than 1 lakh, and this is the beta subunit, and this beta subunit molecular weight is around 55,000, and alpha subunit is mainly concerned with the sodium potassium transport. This is the main unit, alpha subunit, which is alpha subunit mainly concerned with the sodium potassium transport, and it has got these three binding sites, three intercellular site, one each for binding sodium ions and ATP, 3 sodium ions and ATP. These are the 3 sodium ions and ATP binding site. These are the one binding site, and there are 2 extracellular site, one each for the potassium ions, 2 potassium ions. Okay. So the function of sodium potassium pump involves use the enzyme ATPase. ATPase enzyme, ATPase, you can see in this diagram, ATPase enzyme, and this enzyme ATPase is activated when 3 sodium ions and 1 ATP molecule bind to their respective binding sites. The activated ATPase catalyzes the hydrolysis of ATP to the ADP. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, to the adenosine diphosphate. And this reaction liberates the high energy of phosphate bonds of energy. Phosphorylation, this is known as phosphorylation. And this energy liberates, and it is believed to cause the conformational changes in the carrier protein molecules, the sodium into the extracellular fluid. And this is followed by binding of 2 potassium ions to the receptor site. You can see in this diagram 2 potassium ions, the receptor site on the extracellular surface of the carrier proteins. And what is the function of this pump? This sodium potassium pump basically 2 function: controlling of cell volume. It is most important function of sodium potassium pump, to controlling the cell volume, without which most of the cells of the body will swell up, maybe burst. When the sodium potassium pump fails, and the cells swell up and burst. अगर ये pump fail हो जाता है तो swelling and burst of the cells. And second function is the electrogenicity, and this pump act as the electrogenic pump since it produces a net movement of the potassium charges out of the cells, means 3 sodium ions and 2 potassium ions, and creating the electrical potential across the cell membrane. And this is the basic requirement of the nerve and muscles to transmit the signal. This electrogenic activity is the main thing, main function. This is the basic function. This is the basic requirement of the body, the basic requirement of the nerve, basic requirement of the muscle to transmit the signal. So there are two functions of sodium potassium pump. First is the controlling the cell volume, and second is the maintaining the electrogenicity activity. Thank you.